times, 6 times. Why 3? Why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, be kind to your mother 3 times, and then on the 4th time he said the father? Now the muhaddithin, subhanAllah, may Allah reward these individuals, they explain this point too. They say the reason being is that because there are 3 points in the mother's life with her relationship to the child that the child can never pay back. The mother goes through such difficulty and such hardship and such sacrifice that the human being can never imagine. That child can never imagine, especially the male children. They can never imagine. Okay, the women, they can actually grow one day and they may have children themselves. And when they're going through that process, someday they may have ihsas or some, responsibility that, yes, my mother must have been through this for me. But the male children, the boys, they never ever understand what it means for the mother to go through those 3 things. And what are those things? The haml, the pregnancy. Those months when the mother finds out that she's expecting a child, the throwing up, the illnesses, how they're always nauseated and hungry and this and that, and waking up in the middle of the night and asking for this food and that food and all the ajib things that happen during that period. And then you can imagine, for those of us, that know, if you have a bag, if you have a bag that has 5 books in there, and you have to carry those 5 big thick books on your back for a few hours, at the end of the day, what happens? Your back is broken, and you come back home and you're stretching your back out and you're resting, and then you're complaining, oh, come here today, my back's broken, look, I did this, I did that, I carried the books for this many hours, I'm so strong, I'm so big, you see? I'm a very, and this is a man making these kind of bogus complaints. And this female, on the other hand, this mother, she's carrying this child in her womb for 9 months. Subhanallah. In 9 months is generally the minimum. There were those mothers who held their children in their stomach for 2 years. There were some mothers that held their children in their stomach for 3 years. Now you're probably thinking that, you're just saying that, but do you have any proof for that? I can give you proof right now. Many people will say to you in your life that sometimes you'll hear the statement, some of us may hear the statement, that one day Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi was standing in front of Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi, and they had a huge debate, and this is what they said to each other. If you ever hear that statement in your life, that person that's saying that to you is actually making a fool out of you. Why is he making a fool out of you? Because it is impossible for those 2 individuals to have ever met in their entire lives. Impossible. Because the year Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi passed away, that was the year Imam Shafi was born. So if someone ever said to you that these 2 people came and they had a debate, if you ever hear that in your life, if you're sitting with some friends or some da'wat or some invitation, some dinner, and someone says, oh, Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi, Imam Shafi had a huge debate, and this is what they said to each other, that's impossible. Because Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi passed away in year 150 Hijri, and that was the very same year that Imam Shafi rahmatullahi was born, after staying in his mother's stomach for 2 years. He stayed in his mother's stomach for how many years? 2 years, and the muhaddithin, the fuqaha say, it was as if the sun just set, and right at that moment, another sun arrived. That one faqih just left the road, and the other faqih just stepped foot into the road. This is the hikmah of Allah, the wisdom of Allah. Another example. There was a scholar by the name of Dhahak. Dhahak, someone who knows basic Arabic, means, who can tell me what Dhahak means? Someone who laughs a lot. Someone who laughs a lot. You call that person Dhahak. Okay? Dhihk in Arabic means to laugh. Okay? So there was one scholar by the name of Dhahak. So this is Dhahak, rahmatullahi alayhi. The reason why they call him Dhahak is because he remained in his mother's stomach for 3 years. And when he was born, he actually had teeth in his mouth. And when they saw him, they thought he was laughing. That's why they called him Dhahak. And when he grew up, he happened to, mature into this, humorous personality. And he was always laughing and joking with people. That's why the name actually suited him. And they always call him Imam Dhahak rahmatullahi. Even when you open the books of hadith, or the books of fiqh, or the books of tafsir particularly, because he had more contributions towards tafsir. When you open the books of tafsir, you always find Imam Dhahak in this. Dhahak said this, Dhahak said that, Dhahak said this. Because he was the person, an amazing story with Imam Dhahak rahmatullahi. I mentioned his birth, I might as well mention his death to you too. When Imam Dhahak rahmatullahi, before he passed away, he told the people that when I die, when I was born, I made you laugh. Throughout my life, I made you laugh. When I die, I'm also going to make you laugh then too. So the people said, how are you going to make us laugh when you die? So he said, watch, Allah's going to make it happen. So when he passed away, what happened was he was sitting with his back on the wall and his feet were straight. So he was sitting with his back on the wall and his feet were straight, like in an L shape. And no one realized he passed away. Some time had passed by, and when people realized he passed away, what happens to the body? It becomes stiff. You can't make him lie down anymore. So when they took his clothes off to wash his body, they would push his head down and his tongue would come up. His feet would come up. And then people would start laughing and they push his feet down and he'd sit up like a booth and his face would come in their face and they started laughing. So okay, they were the mothers. I was talking about the mothers. Now there are those mothers who will hold the child in their stomach for 3 years, for 2 years, for 1 year, but 9 months minimum. And they're walking with this difficulty and they're walking and, every single day there's something that comes up, during this period. One day there's some food issues, one day there's medical issues, one day there's doctor issues, one day there's, this issue, that issue, clothing issues, and this and that, a million things. And then what happens is to some mothers, after 4 months, after 5 months of going through this difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts them through the test and they have a miscarriage. Now for the young ones sitting here, I remember when I was young, someone ever said the word miscarriage to me, it meant nothing at all. So what, they lost one, they'll get another one, right? They can try harder and they'll get another one. It means nothing to you. But what happens is usually when a mother is pregnant with her child, she emotionally gets involved with the child. And she realizes that all the sacrifice she's making is for this child. And then they begin to say dreams, they begin to see dreams that generally, the child is so foolish, never lets those dreams come into existence. When your mother is pregnant with you, the dreams she begins to see. And the dreams the father begins to see. That one day I'm going to have this child, and I'm going to take care of this child, and I'm going to go shopping for this child, and I'm going to buy if it's a boy, I'm going to buy all the blue things in Toys R Us for this child, and I'm going to do this and that and X, Y, and Z. They begin to see dreams for the child. And then my child, I'm going to make sure I send him to the best school, I'm going to work extra hours, and then I'm going to make sure my child goes to medical school, and I'm going to make sure I work extra hours to ensure he can afford those fees. And the father begins to plan, the mother begins to plan the future of that child. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Rasulullah the Muhaddithin mentioned the reason why Rasulullah said mother first time is indicating towards that be kind to your mother, remembering how she was pregnant with you for 9 months and she took care of you. And she looked after you. And all the difficulties that went along with her in life, never did she ever go back on that decision of delivering you into this world. The reason being is because all the difficulties that she had faced throughout those 9 months, she was ready to face those difficulties because it was for you. Then the second time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that your mother. The reason why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam repeated this very same answer the second time was because of the difficulties that the mother went through at the time of delivering you. When the child comes into the world, the difficulty the mother goes through at that time. In order to understand that difficulty, again, it's impossible to understand the difficulty that the mother goes through, right? So here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam again says, and there are many mothers, it's those of us who are more elderly, we know, right? For the younger ones, you may not know. There are many mothers that during this process of delivering the child, they don't make it. And then that child is born as an orphan. And that husband, he loses his wife. It's as if the mother is facing a life and death situation. That's the reality. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot of facilities, a lot of suhulat in our society. But the reality is that it's a life and death society. The other day it was in the newspaper that there was a person that was taking, I'm sure you guys all read, a person was taking his wife to the hospital and the mother decided to leave in the and to deliver in the car. On the way there, she delivered in the car. And this father, you can imagine what he's going through, thinking that the child's not even going to be born alive. And he uses his shoelaces and does everything, and alhamdulillah, he delivers the child, a healthy child, alhamdulillah. So, the difficulties that the mother goes through when delivering the child, that's another phase altogether. And those two, then you would think that, okay, one person went through so much difficulty, that's the end of it now. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the third time, he says, Ummak again, just to point to you that it didn't stop there. First, she took care of you for 9 months. And then the pain she went through in those few moments when you were being brought into this world is more pain than you will ever go through for your mother throughout your entire life. And that's a fact. Okay? And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the reason why, the Muhaddithin mentioned the reason why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Ummak again the third time is to point out to you that after you were born, this is when your mother went all out for you. This is when she went all out. And then you see the parents who are used to sleeping 6-7 hours straight, now they're waking up twice a night for that very same child. If someone came and told me that I had to wake up twice a night for a child, I'd say, bye, take it easy, I'd rather get my sleep. But then these parents, it becomes a passion for them. That I